tonight. We've got a big group of people. I want to start off by our church wants to give all of you and the police department this little thank you box of goodies. For the town personnel, our mayor, the town board, and the police department. This is from our church, Mount Zion, PFWB, located on 241 right outside of Pink Hill. We thank you for all that you do for the community. The guys, Timmy and Philip and your whole crew, thank you for helping us with our water issues whenever we were remodeling the 401 North Kinston Boulevard and setting up our laundromat. I know we had to go through a few meters there. Mayor and board members, we know you have the heavy task of making decisions for our community. We pray you make these decisions with open minds and open hearts. We personally appreciate you fulfilling Timmy's request and purchasing your dump trailer and many other things from us at H&H. Keeping business local is extremely important for the survival of our community. Crystal and Diana, it's Diana, right? Not Diana, okay, sorry. We know, as well as anyone, you might need some sweets after you deal with the public, so. Michael and the rest of the police department, thank you for keeping our community safe. You've always been there whenever we have called. We appreciate all of you working together to make our town a better place. If there is anything our church can ever assist for you as part of our outreach program, don't hesitate to ask. We're always doing that. We spoke with the fire department
last Thursday.
So if you need anything, please don't hesitate. I think we can all agree that there's some concern for the lack of growth in our town. I love living here, working here, raising our family as part of this community. As most everyone here knows, Josh and I have a lot invested in this town and the surrounding community. We own H&H Farm Supply, which brings people from all over the state, the surrounding states, to our little town. We opened up Rinse and Repeat Laundromat 1 year ago this month. Before that, the citizens of this town and the surrounding community would have to travel to Gillville or Kinston to use the laundromat. Honestly, I'm really proud of how nice it turned out. I hope you have all gotten the chance to at least check it out over the last year. We also own E&E Mini Storage on Old Pink Hill Road. We hope to add even more investment into the future as we expand. There are several examples I have and so I have a few examples I want to show you all, and there's more ideas from other people in this community that I'm sure we can all work together. As you know, we do not have a Chamber of Commerce in Pink Hill. Several years ago, we tried and failed to start the Pink Hill Business Alliance. I feel like even though it fell apart, we did a few great things. We had the new town welcome flags installed throughout the town. We put on an event called Christmas on the Hill. We also had a fundraiser to raise money and ordered some new snowflakes for the light poles. I am guilty myself of letting the way others treat me hurt my feelings and cloud my vision for the greater good of this community. So I stepped away from it all. That was a personal choice, and that's neither here nor there, but I wish we had worked it all out for the town. So I understand how personal experiences, opinions, likes, and dislikes can sometimes weigh your decisions with prejudice. It is part of being human. Part of being human is also recognizing that we made that mistake when making our decisions. I'm sure not every business owner or person in this town likes me. That's okay. I feel the same way sometimes. Differences make the world go round. However, we're all part of the bigger picture for this town. We should all have enough respect for each other to help our community grow. We should put aside differences and work together. I want people to feel welcome when they come to our town. When a customer comes in our store, I expect our employees to greet them and to help them. I want them to feel welcome enough they want to come back. My hope is that our town can become enticing enough that when people drive through, they want to turn around. I want them to turn onto Front Street and think, this is such a cute, well-maintained, quaint town. Whatever happened to the big pots of flowers that were lining our streets? If I'm not mistaken, the Pink Hill Garden Club planted those. Forgive me as I do not know all the details, but there was a conflict over how, when, who should be watered, and how much we should be watering them. Are we really that petty that we're just gonna let them go? So now we have big empty pots of dead flowers lining our streets, and it looks awful. I know several meetings over the last few months have been about how unsightly the piles of dirt have been. I am not in disagreement with that, especially on our main roads that people travel. But what about the houses that are literally falling down? Or have so much trash in their front yards it's hazardous? When we have our Easter egg hunt, we got a real good sight to look at. We have a building right here that the town owns, for example, the old police department. It has broken windows, a missing door, the door is partially covered with a piece of plywood. Probably isn't the best first impression as people come into town from Dillaville. What would look great on that little corner is a nice welcome to Pink Hill sign. Several years ago, I took the time to call the town of Richlands and asked about their welcome signs. They have 3 really nice ones. It took about a year, but they told me that they had got them for free with a grant from DOT. I turned all that information over at the time to Carol, but nothing was ever done with it. We live in a world full of technology. Our town really needs to focus. Let me go back. I have made some sticky notes, I'm sorry. Cleaning up the town. I was checking out Trenton's and Pollocksville's and stuff website. And they do, this is not something we have to do, but they do a leaf and limb pickup the second Saturday of each month, so for just the town residents. So the town comes by and picks up any back leaves or limbs less than 36 inches for free as a service. It's not a bad idea if you want people to clean up their yards that don't have the means to take them off. We live in a world full of technology. Our town really needs to focus on staying up to date. I'm not sure who oversees the website or the town's social media, but if no one is, I highly suggest you appoint someone. The Town of Pink Hill's Facebook page has not posted anything since 2018. It used to share Pink Hill Fire Department's posts, Pink Hill Police Department posts, events going on towns, it would share when meetings were, and so much more. It's just such a great resource that we're not using. The website itself, back in 2017, when we did have the Pink Hill Business Alliance, I think Marie White and I had asked if we could have the business and towns listed. On the website at that time, it had a local business tab, and it was blank. So they did put all our businesses up there, and they're still up there, but they've never been updated. So I printed the list and I have it for you if you need it. Several of them have closed, moved, no longer exist, and we have new ones. I mean, ours is one example. It's been here for a year and it's not listed. It's the only laundromat in town. So I think there needs to be some sort of guidance on how often it's updated. I mean, it could be annually, whatever. When people come in get your water meters set up for a business, that should trigger it to be added to the business directory. That's just my suggestion, take it how it is. I also wish that they would allow us to, if a business chose to add a website, because it does have our address and phone numbers, some it doesn't even have phone numbers for. On the website, it would be nice if we had more history about our town. It's kind of generic. Add more updated pictures, just stuff about our town. Everything on there is it's not been updated in a really long time. The town meeting schedule still shows all the meetings for 2021, so no one has the schedule for 2022 on our town website. The bank, this was one of my other sticky notes. I didn't put the bank. The town, I don't know if y'all know, but obviously First Citizen is closing. Several other residents have reached out to First Citizens, hoping that they would at least keep a couple tellers, even if they don't have the full service of the bank, so that businesses can still deposit money, employees can cash their checks and that sort of thing. Because we've got to think about where's your two dogs gonna do their nightly deposits? Who's gonna escort them to Villaville or Kenansville or Kinston? I mean, that's not real safe. I don't know if you have reached out to the bank. I'm sure you have. But that is something that needs to be done. Any incentive that we can give them, I would give them. When IGA closed down, I know Piggly Wiggly went around for a long time. They come by and put out people to sign up to petition to have Piggly Wiggly try to come in. I wish we had, and you may have, forgive me if I'm wrong, I wish we would have at some point reached out and done some sort of incentive. Towns, counties, cities do it all the time. We could have waived property taxes, we could have waived water bills for a certain amount of time, some sort of incentive, because now we have one grocery store instead of two. Competition makes the world go round. So I feel like we missed the ball on that one. I understand we don't have a Chamber of Commerce, but is there anything we can do to recognize new businesses to welcome them to our town? Social media, recognitions of big anniversaries of businesses in our town should be celebrated also. I know this can get tricky, so you would never want to recognize or show favoritism to certain businesses, so there needs to be guidelines to follow. These are just my suggestions. The next thing I would like to talk about is the needs of our community surrounding Pink Hill. First, let me just tell you a little bit about us. We currently live outside of Pink Hill off of Highway 241. We have no access to high-speed internet. We have no timeline for any of that to be available to us either. At our home, we have a maximum of 3 megabits per second, usually less than that. We cannot run more than one device at any one time. We consider ourselves lucky as my father's farm office across the street only allows 1.5 megabits per second. I'm sure you can all agree, this is really frustrating for us as a family and as business owners. We have school-aged children that I had to bring out to H&H during their remote learning to do their schoolwork. We're very fortunate though that we have that option. Some parents don't. They had to drive to their local school, either Pink Hill or in our case, Gilleville, because our kids live in Denton County, and use the free internet provided. As you can imagine, working on schoolwork with your children out of a vehicle is probably very challenging. We have reached out to Spectrum and Eastern Carolina Broadband. Spectrum has no options for us and our community at this time. Eastern Carolina Broadband has a few options that we could do. The easiest and best option to serve us and many others is by accessing the Pink Hill water towers. Can you imagine how much that would help the farmers, children, business owners, and people who work from home? How about the elderly that would like access to telehealth services? Are we still going to keep hindering this? We can still gain access without the water towers to our house, but that would not help all the rest of the people. Others would have access to, if Eastern Carolina Broadband had the lease on the Pink Hill water towers. I've done a lot of reading lately. I've read through all the town board meetings for the past several years. Let me just say, I'm slightly embarrassed at how obvious it is that Pink Hill's choosing not to support the people that support this town. Honestly, I was gonna go month by month, but to save time, I'll just summarize. From January 2017 to June 2017, what is now known as Eastern Carolina Broadband, founded by Rodney Scott, Susan Myers, Al Rashad, and others, petitioned to rent the water towers. Several offers and options were presented several times. The mayor at the time, Carol Sykes, was very open and on board the first 2 months. I'm unsure what happened after that, but during the March meeting of 2017, the mayor was determined the rent needed to be at least $10,000 per year. I cannot imagine as a new business paying that much in rent. The back and forth continued with no resolution in sight. So Eastern Carolina Broadband, a Pink Hill-based business, took their efforts elsewhere while keeping their headquarters here. There are several issues that I have after reading through all of the minutes. Commissioner Quinn, you recused yourself from the discussions only 4 out of 6 of the times due to possible conflict of interest during those 2017 meetings. However, you still participated in discussions during those meetings. You asked several questions about the towers, how they will work, and possible conflicts with other transmitters. Commissioner Murphy, I know you personally have an issue with Susan and Al, and possibly Rodney. It is clear that in the minutes you are against this from the very beginning. You had 0 comments or questions in the January and February meetings about this. In the March meeting, you only asked the question, so we're not making a commitment tonight, right? But you did second the motion to have a trial period, as long as there was no commitment. In the April meeting, you had no questions and voiced no concerns. In the May meeting, the only questions you had were about opting out of contracts and stating Duplin County isn't comparable to the town of Pink Hill. You finally asked a few questions in the June meeting about the number of possible employees and customers, but never seconded the motion, so the issue just died. My question is, had you already made up your mind before all this started? How can you have so few questions? Did you already know the answers, or did you already know that you were gonna let this contract die? Attorney Jenkins, I'm not sure, but it seems like there was several times you either didn't review the contracts, or you didn't share them with the board, or you gave them to the board a month later at the very next meeting. That's still happening in 2022. I would think it would take less than a month to review a contract. I find this really unacceptable. Mayor Hill, then Commissioner, it seems like you were the only one acting in good faith during this time. It seems like that now. Let's jump to October 2021. This is a special meeting about the distribution of the American Recovery Act money. Mayor Hill stated that he was supposed to give $5,000 to broadband to help them. There was a discussion on whether or not it was fiber optic. Mayor Hill was proposing to give Eastern Carolina Broadband the money to help them build their own tower. Commissioner Murphy was completely against this, stating she had the same issue she had 4 years ago. Well, what are those issues? If you didn't have any questions,
The money was only will go to fiber optic. No, I was wrong.
Okay.
it's not in the minutes. So that was not ever listed in the minutes.
Yes, Ms. Murphy voted up that it was only supposed to go to fiber optic.
Okay, well, it's not in the minutes, that's on your website.
It
Rodney tried to address issues with you at this, at the next meeting. Commissioner Fantini stated he knew several farmers who were in need of high-speed internet access. Mr. Quinn excused himself from this conflict due to possible conflicts of interest, but not before you did ask about fiber optic. But you also quoted, "I don't see how to give them money unless they're building the fiber network themselves. How are you recused from the discussion when you're clearly discussing it?" You just answered my question. I was gonna ask you where the $5,000 go, but you said they were not eligible?
So we're not going to put fiber optic. It has to be fiber optic to the house.
So was it broadband then?
It's broadband, but it's fiber. It's cutting in Norfolk Kingston right now, putting it in. Coming
Okay.
south.
So we couldn't get them to put them in?
Well, it's the one that the county has, made a deal with.
It's a, right now what's going on in Lenore County is a $30 million grant
Right.
for them to get it. And whether that $30 million lasts all the way to get.
Probably not, but that's
To
okay.
where Pink Hill is.
Gotcha. December 2021, Ronnie Scott presented again about Eastern Carolina Broadband leasing the water towers. Keep in mind the following. Eastern Carolina Broadband has been in business since 2017. It has several employees. It currently partners with Duplin County, Jones County, Town of Gillitville, Town of Magnolia, Town of Pollocksville, Town of Maysville, Town of Green Evers, Chicopee Water Association, and also has privately owned towers and grain towers. All of these lease for $250 per year or less. They also offer these towns and counties free access points. Commissioner Murphy, you also stated in reference to the lease amount to Rodney, and I quote, "You said people in this town don't need internet, but they elected the board and the people I'm responsible for, and I just think what you're offering is ridiculous." Is it ridiculous for all of the counties and the towns listed above? Is it ridiculous for the children you once taught that now have children in school that want faster internet service? Is it ridiculous that the town will not support the community around them? Is it ridiculous that an established business in Pink Hill is not supported by the local government? We're literally a hole in the map missing out on opportunities. And I have a map just so you can see. Let me just explain to everybody. So, here is Pink Hill, right here in the little center. If we had these two water towers, right
You
here.
might wanna stick it a different way like this.
Where?
Okay, we'll turn. And here, you're fine.
We don't need to see it, they need to see it.
Okay? This little town could support all of these people, cause all these networks work together. I'll be glad to leave it for you if you need a reference. Water tanks are blue, comm towers are purple, grain elevators are green. Utility poles they've put up are, Eastern Carolina Broadband put up, are orange, and future sites are yellow. So I live right here. So close yet so far away. Let me put that down, babe. Is it ridiculous to think that if you don't wanna better this town, someone else needs to? Is it ridiculous to think the town is currently spending $3,600 per year on internet access? Not only would you save $3,600, but you would be getting an additional $500 in revenue, making it $4,100 per year to the good. $4,100 could build you a new welcome sign. It could help put on the spring festival. It could help put on a Christmas program. It would have paid for the speed limit electronic signs that the police department put up. Imagine how much extra money you would have had for the town if you'd have supported this 5 years ago. Is it ridiculous that Eastern Carolina Broadband has offered free internet for the town hall, the fire department, the water plant, the old gym, and the park. Do you know that Corey Povar with Lenore County Parks and Rec stated that it's in their budget to renovate the old gym and assist with the park renovation? If you had free internet access there, you would have the option for security cameras. Just think, $4,100 could buy a pretty good camera system. Hutch Jones, mayor of Gilleville, said to me, and I quote, "It was a no-brainer to partner with Eastern Carolina Broadband." He told me how great it was during COVID because they provided free access points throughout the town also. I would also like to share, I talked with Davis Brinson who is the county manager at Duplin County. He said, "We've allowed Eastern Carolina Broadband to place wireless internet equipment on our water towers throughout the county. Yes, I believe it is an asset to the county that allows its citizens, businesses, and farms to gain access to an affordable, high-speed internet where they would otherwise wouldn't be able to do so. The fact that they must be line of sight to one of our towers, which means that the wireless signal cannot penetrate obstacles such as trees. We actually utilize this service at our county airport for airport operations and also for our economic development department, which is housed at the airport, and both departments seem very pleased with the service they're receiving. It offers more than adequate speed. It has gone down a couple of times, as all internet does, but Eastern Carolina's customer service team has been very responsive and acted very quickly to restore the service. It did save the county money because we were able to negotiate free service for our airport, economic development office as part of the contract for our water towers. We are also hoping to utilize their service at our solid waste recycling facility and sheriff's office training facility on Landfill Road in the very near future." I would also like to repeat some statements from Glenda Kennedy, a local teacher who lives right outside of Pink Hill. She stated during COVID when they were remote learning, "I had to go every day, sometimes more than once a day, to the school to do my Zoom meetings with staff and students. If I were able to Zoom from home, I ended up having to go back to school to download all the files. I could never download my files from home. I had several kids that had to go to different locations to access internet, some because they didn't have internet, some because satellite was the only thing available. Every student in Lenore County Public Schools has an iPad. However, they all don't have internet. Our livelihood is here. We're already losing businesses. There will be more if we don't change. Why would those in our community keep supporting a town that doesn't support them? I can go on and on about this. Commissioner Quinn, have you been told by your employer you can't have a say in this? Are you required to do your job as commissioner? Commissioner Murphy, how can you as a former teacher deny these local students? You know what's ridiculous? The fact that differences cannot be put aside to do our jobs. I understand I do not live on town limits. Most business owners do not live in town limits. There are less than 5 business owners that live in the town of Pink Hill. Several business owners live just outside, and you're denying us this service. The town website states, "The town of Pink Hill mayor and the town council work together for its citizens of our community. As leaders, they are committed to protecting the town of Pink Hill assets through encouragement of residents, businesses to become an integral participants in our community. Are you doing this? I would love to know from each of you, what is your greatest achievement since being appointed to the board? What are you most proud of? You were elected these positions. However, if you do not want to perform your job for the best interest of this town and community, we should find someone that does. I personally harbor no ill feelings towards any of you. I hope you take my words to heart and really think about and consider if Pink Hill would survive without the community members on the outside of this town. I personally do not think the town would survive on just the citizens that live within the city limits. It takes a village, and that village surrounds our city. I'm asking you, as a business owner and an individual in need of this technology, to reconsider supporting Eastern Carolina Broadband. By doing so, you will be helping many families that support your town. I implore you not to wait on this. There's grant money that will help them reach many more people, and it will end in June of this year. I have a letter from Eastern Carolina Broadband to leave you. Personally, if the town board was hindering me and my business the way that they have hindered Eastern Carolina Broadband, I would have taken my business elsewhere. I can imagine that any leader in this town would want any business. I can't imagine that any leader in this town would want any business to fail or set them up with failure with outrageous contract amounts. and requirements. I hope prejudices and personal opinions can be put aside and our town board will support the businesses that support this town. That we can work together now and in the future. Josh and I are always open to helping with anything with the town, whatever way we can. You always just have to let us know what's needed. I'll leave you with the thought, the betterment of our town starts from within, and that's you. Thank you.
I got a rebuttal on a couple things.
That's fine.
Number one, Roger Scott came to this meeting a few months back, just handed us the contract. Was it signed? We hadn't even seen the contract.
Per the minutes, he had emailed it.
Oh, he had not.
Well, I'm just telling you what, I went off what I read, and I printed your minutes.
He did not email the contract to any board member.
I think he emailed it to Crystal from the minutes.
Did he email the contract to you? I don't think he had. Well, you to give it to him.
Okay.
Why
I read your
was-
minutes.
why
I didn't
was
get
it in
any
the minutes?
information. I didn't get any information from Ryan.
He just walked right in and had the contract. We had not reviewed that contract.
And then
And then
you reviewed it
we-
for over a month and handed it to you at the beginning of the next
attorney-
month.
Well, sick
Mhm.
for a while,
Okay.
so we had to wait on him.
Mhm.
He couldn't help that.
No, I'm not, that's not in the minutes. I can't
I mean,
find out the
He's
stuff
trying
that's not in the
to, he's trying
minutes.
to tell you the facts.
Yeah,
Okay.
But she, the only facts she has to go on are
Is the
what's in
minutes.
the town minutes, and
Yeah.
they should be accurate
That's
and
why I'm
factual.
saying, you should, they should have been coming to the board meeting the whole time. That's what I'm saying, Carol.
Who should have been?
I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And I'm glad you came and talked to us.
Yes.
May I make a point, Mike?
Yes.
While you're reading minutes, I want you to look back. I don't know exactly how many years it's been. I'm gonna guesstimate about 4. We had a room full of people. Ben Knight stood in that corner right there and he said, is there not some way we can sit down and work this out to everybody's satisfaction? We all know, bless Carol, God rest her soul, $10,000 was ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
You're absolutely right, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I looked at Ben and I said, nothing would make me any happier, cause I
That's-
am really let me
It's not in the
finish.
minutes.
Well, if you look back, I believe I can find it for you, I'll try.
Okay, that'd be
But
great.
at least, let me finish, please. I told him nothing would make me any happier than to work it out fairly for the people that desperately needed internet and for the town of Pink Hill. And we agreed to a public hearing, it was about a week later, something like that. Within 2 days, they called and canceled the public hearing.
Sure did.
Who's they?
They, Eastern Carolina Broadband, that's exactly it. We had it without them.
I just want to say, I'm not here on behalf of Eastern Carolina Broadband. I'm here on behalf of Sierra Dunham because I need internet at my house.
Well, I'm just explaining to you how not everybody's worked in good faith, it's not just the board. Not everybody has worked in good faith to work this out, how it worked before. Rodney would go and talk to one board member, and then somebody go and talk to another board member. And what we were hoping is everybody could sit down at the table, air all our concerns, work it out to everybody's satisfaction. Now, if that meeting had been held with all parties involved 4 years ago, you'd probably have internet right this very minute.
I disagree, but that's okay.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's not been.
And the contracts didn't just start this year. It was like multiple meetings in a row that we didn't have
But
contracts.
that makes at least
Yeah.
3 or 4 times we've been presented with a contract when the meeting started that night and expected to read it, vote on it. And, I'm not gonna yay or nay something I've not had a chance to read.
So we just let it die.
No,
No, we have not ended that. In fact, we.
Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt
contract.
y'all, but it's been my experience that if it's not documented, it didn't happen. I mean, minutes, no minutes, whatever, if it wasn't documented, it did not happen. I don't care what the personal vendetta is, but personal vendettas are killing this town.
I am.
I'm gonna leave it at that, you can
Amen.
like me, love me, I don't care, but personal vendettas are killing this town.
Cause everybody that In this town.
I grew up here and I want my children to grow up here and I want them to have the same
That has come to me
home community that I had.
with a problem, we have tried to work it out. And everybody that has, just like the piles of, compost piles. Everybody was up in arms about them. All I did was sit down with Susan and talk to her about them, and we got it resolved. And that's all anybody that wants to know something, come to this town hall and ask for me. I will set up a meeting and we will talk about things. And if you want to, I can't have the whole board because that's called a meeting. We can have, if we have, say, me, Pete, and James in the same, that's a meeting. And we can't have meetings without public notice. So,
Your meetings are not in the minutes,
huh?
and your meetings are not in the minutes.
That are individual, she's saying that
Yeah.
these aren't in the minutes.
So
We
we
do not have verbatim minutes.
don't have a verbatim, okay.
That means everything that is said in the meetings. We
I
have,
know.
who made the motion, who seconded it, and how, if it was passed.
The meeting I'm talking about is long enough ago, we pretty much did, I mean, the minutes were endless.
Most of the minutes are verbatim because you,
And
Well,
I'm
she
pretty
does put
sure
more
I can
in
find
there.
what I'm talking about.
Then the whole, the just the motion and it was passed. She does put more in it. I don't like
I
verbatim
understand
minutes,
that, but that's how the minutes, that's what we have to go by, so.
but if anybody's got a problem, like I say, call this girl here. She will give me your number and I will call you and we will set up a meeting. And we'll sit down and talk.
So what can we do to get internet out to us? What can y'all do to help us?
Are you willing to work with